We Get Outdoors Nation. It's my privilege today to bring to you somebody who's climbed to some of the highest peaks that continents have to offer, including Kilimanjaro and Denali. He's next set to head off to Everest and has done it all from an unusual starting point. He's done it from South Africa, from rural South Africa, which is truly incredible. So welcome to the podcast, Monde Sitole.
No, welcome, Rob. I'm very honored to be on the show, and I hope my presence adds value to your listeners. I always start with this a quote that I have from Rene Dua, who's actually one of my favorite climbers. He said, "You cannot stay on a summit forever. You have to come down again. So why bother in the first place? Just this. What is above knows what is below, and what is below does not know what is above. One climbs, one sees, one descends, one sees no longer. But one has seen. There is an art of conducting oneself in the lower regions by memory of what one saw higher up. One can no longer speak, but one can still know. I believe that children should be taught how to think, but not what to think. It is utterly false and cruelly arbitrary to put all the play and learning into childhood, all the hard work into middle age, and all the regret into old age. Never doubt that a small group can change the world. That's the only thing that has ever had." I say all of this because, firstly, the pandemic, the new norm, Rob, has really tattooed in our hearts and minds the importance of a support system. And like Du Bois, I believe that now is the accepted time, not tomorrow, not some convenient season. It is today that our best work can be done, not some future day or future year. It is today that we fit ourselves with a greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are the hours of work. Tomorrow comes harvest and play time. I believe that also, like Martha Graham used to say, that there is a vital life force and energy quickening that is translated through you in action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is and how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep yourself aware of the urges that motivate you, that keep you, that keep your channel open. A blessed unrest that keeps us marching makes us more alive than other people.
Wow.
Than others. Sorry.
No, that's profound. That's profound.
Yeah.
It sounds like something you live.
I believe that there's only one of you, and we always feel that we can only do stuff because of absence of fear. But I believe that within fear is where you find the most truest version of yourself, and within doubt is where you find the most potent version of the truth. You see, so adventure to me means that, and all these two quotes that I've just shared with you they actually encapsulate what I mean when I talk about adventure. And for me, adventure is a lifestyle, and I believe that mountains are not stadiums where I satisfy my desire to achieve. They are the very cathedrals where I practice my religion. So there's a deeper reverence, there's a deeper respect for the mountain. And that is why I always say that if you can climb a mountain more than 3 times and you don't succeed, it's because of your intent, you see. So yeah, I'm a mountain climber. I was one of the first young people to attend school on board a tour ship, where we sailed from Cape Town, Namibia, St. Helena, Ascension Island, Fernando, Brazil. Then after that, I was part of the Mike Horniak Explorers Camp in Switzerland. And then after that, I conceptualized the Dare to Dream expedition, which I always say that it is to reinvigorate that latent intrinsic potential in all to dare to dream and envision beyond any other hurdle and grab hold of their dream, no matter how small, absurd they might seemingly appear, you see. So, yeah, I succeeded with Mount Kilimanjaro. I've done Kilimanjaro twice. I've done Mount Denali in Alaska. I've done Kotsubo in Australia, and I'm now doing Argentina in a month. Then hopefully I'm doing Everest without oxygen, not because I'm superhuman, but it's the greatest respect I can pay to the mountain, to climb it as natural as possible, you see. And for me, it means a lot because I've waited for 11 years to climb Everest, and it has a deeper meaning now because of the work that I've been doing now with the Monde Sitole Foundation. I believe that the Monde Sitole Foundation will foster innovation and spur new knowledge for the sustainable development of South Africa, ensuring that opportunities are made accessible to all, providing learners with the required values, skills to further personal, critical, exploratory thinking, encouraging them to partake, innovate, and adapt to an increasingly globalized world. But today an exciting chapter, as I shared before, faces us now is that we have 900 boys, ex-gangsters. We use mountaineering, extreme sports, and innovation to actually channel that reckless zealous spirit into something which is more worthwhile. I believe that if you're good with standing, why not try fencing? If you're good with throwing stones in a moving train, why not try cricket? So you mutate that reckless spirit into something which is more worthwhile. And I believe that when you give young people an experience, there's little that you need to actually say. There's something intrinsic in them that gets switched on. So for me, that is my life mission to educate the underprivileged children of South Africa, especially ex-gangsters. I have a close love for these young people because I believe that they are the people who actually can change things, because extreme sports, extreme backgrounds, that's the synergy that I see in that. So if you can use extreme sports to actually channel that whole energy that is in them, I think we can get very interesting leaders who can change our present challenges into something which is beautiful for South Africa and the world.
And the logical step on from that is extreme sports, extreme backgrounds, but the logical step on is extremely successful futures.
Sorry?
So the logical step onwards from that is extremely successful futures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I believe when it comes to young boys, like Bell Hooks used to say that only a revolution of values in our nation will end male violence, and that revolution will necessarily be based on love ethic. To create loving men, we must love males. Loving maleness is different from praising them and rewarding males for living up to sexist-defined notions of male identity. Caring about men because of what they do for us is not the same as loving men for simply being. And when we love maleness, we extend our love whether males are performing or not. Performance is different from simply being. In a patriarchal culture, males are not allowed simply to be who they are and glory in their unique identity. Their value is always determined by what they do. And in an anti-patriarchal culture, males do not have to prove their value and worth. They know from birth that simply being gives them value, the right to be cherished and loved.
Yeah. Now, Monde, if it's okay with you, I'd like to go backwards in time a bit, because one of the things that really drew me to you and drew me to your story was the fact, well, you know, there's plenty of people who have climbed Denali, been up Kilimanjaro. They've done the big peaks in the world. But if we go back to your childhood, how does a guy from the East, a young kid from the Eastern Cape in South Africa, end up, first of all, sailing across the Atlantic and then taking on some of the world's biggest pieces? Because your journey has been profound, but your journey is also treading the path for others to follow. But others can only follow it if they actually know that there has been a journey. So where did your love for adventure start from when you were a kid?
It's crazy. My grandfather's name used to be Ndabeni, which means the hills. So we've always grew up around mountains, and I never knew anything about mountaineering. I've always, whenever I have a problem at home, I would always go to the outdoors, and that will actually give me a lot of comfort. And to be honest, one thing led to another. And for me, I wouldn't call myself a mountain climber. I use mountains to draw people closer to social ills that are happening in our world. So mountain is one of the other outlets that I use to as a cathartic exercise, you see. So I've always grew up in the mountains, and I always believe that everyone can have fun on mountains, and it's not about the sandstones, the crevasses. It's not about the highest peaks in the world. It's everyone. Mountains means different things to different people, and I think for many years I've been fighting and trying to define who I am and what I stand for and what it is that I want to do with my life altogether. And I came to that very brief explanation, which is I'm really not a mountain climber. I'm just like they always say that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, but spiritual beings having a human experience. So I believe that mountains are cathedrals that I practice my religion, and they bring me closer to who I am. And I use mountains as classrooms for other youth to actually find who they are. So yeah, I got introduced by a guy called Ronnie Moore. When I came back from the Tollships adventure, he explained to me that he had an expedition that is to climb the highest mountains on each continent. He had already done Mount Everest. Funnily, he started with Mount Everest. Then he continued to do the Kilimanjaro, Kosovo, Denali, Mount Vincent Massif. So I joined his expedition when I was 17. And then after that, the bug bit me, and I told myself I'm never looking back. And it's been what has been, I don't know how to explain it in words. It's been what has been the truth of my life adventure all these years, and has been keeping me going all these years. Mm. So I felt that I had to share this experience with other young people, you see.
Mm. So tell me, how was it when you got on the tall ship in Cape Town, knowing that your homeland was soon going to be far behind you, and who knew, like, jeepers, that's a lot of time at sea. What were you feeling inside?
It was crazy. Funny enough, a month before I went on the tall ship, I couldn't sleep.
Really?
And even when I went to when I did my first mountain trip, my mother thought that I was going to climb a hill somewhere. So I think also the lack of knowledge or my ignorance or my oblivion actually helped me in a way to climb and to be at rest. Because I had no expectations. I just told myself that this is an experience of a lifetime for me, and I'm going to embrace it with all my being. And I left, and I never expected that I would change, and it would be a paradigm shift for me. So yeah, part of not knowing what to expect, it was actually one of the things that actually made the experience more enjoyable for me, I think. I think that is an adventure in a way, because we live in a world now that everything is planned, everything is planned to detail. We have all the navigation skills, but still there's no certainty. I did a talk many years ago on the feet, which is fascinating, adventure talks, where I was explaining that in as much as we can have all these equipment of today, but still we find that the best expeditions happened many years ago. The years of Tenzing Norgay, even the first sailing expeditions, which were very fascinating, they happened many years ago. So I think the best equipment we could have is our mind and our willingness and our adventure mind. That is the best equipment we can have to have a great adventure, I think.
100%. I actually say that too much equipment and too much technology takes it from, it turns it not into an adventure anymore because you have too many knowns.
Exactly.
And you also, it almost like turns your senses off. Because you could, if you spend enough time in the mountains, you can wake up in the morning and look up in the sky and know what the weather's going to do today.
Exactly, celestial navigation.
Yeah, but the moment you have all of the tech stuff in place, you almost switch off those primal senses and don't actually really truly engage in the outdoors. So I too am fascinated by Amundsen and people going to the North and South Pole for the first time and all those things because it was a fascinating era.
Actually, that is how I want to finale my expedition. I want to do North Pole to South Pole ski trip after I've done. That was the initial plan, but because of funding, it has taken the longest time to finish. And people always interview me and ask me, "Oh, Monde, where are you? Which mountain are you climbing next?" And I have to be very choreographed and tell people that, "Oh, the next mountain is this," and hide the details. That is very extremely hard to do adventure in South Africa. So I've turned to do like there's a friend of mine called Lisa. She's actually the founder of Feet.
Yes.
So she shared with me that adventure happens very daily, and I should focus on small adventures while I'm propelling and preparing myself for the bigger adventures. So actually, that for me helped me. She in a way became a mentor to me because she's the first person to ever give me an extra opportunity to do anything. So yeah.
That's super cool. So for you, adventure is a daily occurrence other than it's the way you live your life. It's not just It's not just starting at base camp. It's everything beforehand.
Yeah, because adventure in a way is free. If we're going to talk about creativity these days, that's adventure. If we're going to talk about frugal innovation, like for instance, I have 900 boys in my organization. They are all ex-gangsters. How do I find a way to actually communicate with all of them? That's adventure. That's creative. Some people call it creativity. There's the 900 boys, and there's also 5 schools that I work with in a program which is called the NextSchool Initiative. I always say that an object continues to move in a certain direction unless there's a force existing. I believe that we are that force to make education more founded on people. So with the 5 schools, what we do, we basically search for solutions from the same young people actually facing the challenges. And I believe that social entrepreneurship is the missing link. And social entrepreneurship, again, is adventure. So kids need to be taught how to think. They need to be taught how to think, but not what to think. Then again, that is adventure. You see, so adventure needs to come back to the classroom so that kids can find their own solutions to their own problems. You see, so I believe that adventure is the missing link. You see, but we've just been calling it many names.
That's it. And because adventure brings you the opportunity to be incredibly good at divergent thinking and problem solving.
Exactly.
Which when you actually go and talk to employers. In big businesses or whatever else, once you get them past some fancy qualification and say, actually, what do you want this person to be really good at? What they really want somebody to be really good at is being a great human being, so good with people, but also they want them to be incredibly good at solving practical problems and putting practical solutions in place. And I've never personally found an environment other than the great outdoors that truly can provide that for you.
Yeah, we have something called mountain leadership, where you either lead from the back, or you lead from the side, or you lead from the front. So usually it's what we use when we're leading different groups from different countries. Usually when we lead people who are seemingly slow, what we do is lead from the back. If we leading people which are let me tell it in different countries. For instance, if there's a person from America, a lot of people from America, that is a preconceived idea. It's not. It's just a generalization. We found that a lot of Americans, they tend to be very fast on the mountain and to want to lead themselves. So what we do, we lead from the front. So if we're leading someone from the UK, which are they're very slow, but very attentive on the mountain, what we do, we lead from the back, pushing them forward. If we're leading, let's say, a person from Asia or Chinese, they're very fast on the mountain and they don't like to talk too much, what we do, we lead from the side. So that is something that we can take into the workplace, we can take into the world, because we have diverse personalities. And how can we find a way that to connect with all of them and also find the beauty in their diversity, you see. So mountain leadership allows us to actually bring out the best in all these different personalities and these personality traits, you see.
And so you've obviously done a huge amount of adventuring yourself, and now you're passing that baton, well, you're keeping hold of the baton for yourself to keep adventuring, but you're passing that baton on as well to young people to go and uplift themselves. Something struck me in a video I saw about you, where you said that to break free from poverty, it's not necessarily money, it's mindset that's required.
Exactly.
Can you tell me more about that, please?
Yeah, because a lot of people say that when we don't succeed is because of resources or lack of resources. I believe that is because of a lack of vision, because it all happens in the mind. It's all a decision. Life is a decision waiting to happen, you see. You decide to be happy. You decide to. So a lot of people somehow they have an inability to understand that it's all a decision, you see. So poverty is all in the mind, you see. All of this is all in the mind. I'm not saying that there's no poverty in the world, but even when I was working a lot in Khayelitsha, I was working with ex-gangsters. There was like a territorial fight where there was the Vato gang and the Vura gang and the Italian gang. So these kids were fighting amongst themselves. So the funny part is that all these other good people, they were doing nothing. And I even got shot. I got shot in the neck and got shot in the chest for doing what I'm doing. Like we lost our house. That is why I'm checking back on my family in Eastern Cape. But somehow I felt no betrayal from these kids. The only betrayal that I felt was from the people who had something, who possessed a certain power to do something but did nothing, you see. So for me, it all goes back to that inability. It all goes back to that choice that we have to take for ourselves, that we can make a change together, you see. So I believe that together we can make a difference. It has been said over and over again. But it all starts with a decision. It all starts, even when it comes to the problem with gangsterism, it all starts with removing the stigma, you see. If we remove the stigma, or if we have an empathetic conversation or dialogue around that, because if we have an empathetic dialogue, it means that we are willing, then that willingness is a decision that we're saying that we are part of the solution, or we're part of the problem, you see. So change happens in the mind, you see.
Correct. It's very, very interesting. A few years ago, I was struggling in business, and I listened to a a hypnotic audio program by a very famous hypnotist in the UK called Paul McKenna. And And it's all about it's called something like "I Can Make You Rich," and it's not just about rich in money. It's about rich in mind, rich in relationships, rich in health, and rich in money as well. And I reached this desperate place where I had to do something because nothing seemed to be working. And within 3 to 5 months, suddenly things started to get better. And ironically, it wasn't a richness in money that came first. It was a richness in relationships and a richness in my mind. And ever since then, the money has, I won't say taken care of itself, because that sounds a bit arrogant maybe. But but
I totally understand. Yeah.
But the money has been almost more attracted to me. It hasn't been the battle that it once was. And so it wasn't the practical, like how to go and make money or find money things.
Fulfilled life.
Yeah, it was in my head. Once the rest of me was rich, the money took care of itself.
No, it makes a lot of sense, because if the whole thing about money is just a farce that everything happens from within, you see. Everything else has to do with what other people think of us, you see. And we project all these insecurities because of people's expectations, you see. And we forsake what is inside. That is why you find people who are rich but not fulfilled, you see.
Correct.
They kill themselves, they hang themselves, because they search for seeming wealth, but they forgot the wealth that they left at their backyard, like the alchemist.
That's true. So tell me, like, while to raise money and find money and make money to run your foundation and go on your expeditions, whilst it does start in the mind, both of us actually live in a country in South Africa at this point in time where it takes 10 times more effort and energy to earn $1 here than it does to go and earn in America. Like, practically speaking, that's the truth as well. We can't avoid the fact that we're in a third world country. How practically do you go about, like, raising the cash to go and do all this stuff? You're obviously not a bank robber, so there's got to be there's obviously got to be an ethical way that you're going about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, with most of our programs, what we've always tried to do is that we've searched for partnerships or collaborations, you see. So our foundations is based on genuine development, you see. So we don't even close our office hours. I'm one of the old NGO people where I visit I live with the kids that I work with. I believe that you can't change people on a podium. You have to break bread with them, you see. I believe that teachers need to be learners in the same instance that they're teaching, you see. So what we usually do, for instance, with our NextSchool Initiative, it's a very easy strategy what we use. So what is our problem? The problem is that our schools are not working. The problem is that our communities are not working. So we need to match the relationship of the school with the community. So our strategy needs to be ground up, not from the up down, you see. So basically what we do, we involve the school governing body, we involve the school, then we involve the most important people, which is the young people, you see. So basically, we have a 3-day summit. The first day, we have our people exhibiting, talking about the NextSchool Initiative. The second day, we speak to teachers, where we try and engage teachers. And the third day, we have school children exhibiting, talking about problems in their communities. Say, for example, here in Namakwe, where we don't have a bridge to cross, where For instance, the river might flood or be full. So we have kids not going to school because of that. We get a kid from the same school throwing up a plan for a bridge. So say, for example, there's a curious, inquisitive kid who, for instance, has a command of public speaking. That same student starts a radio station or a podcast, you see. So the plan is to have all these ideas exhibited. Then we invite funders to come and experience and engage with these young people. Then we give funding to the same young people facing these problems. We solve two problems. Now education becomes more practical. It's not about abstract statistics. It's not about learning, regurgitating. It's about real problems, real solutions, real people. So basically we give funding to 5 kids out of the schools, out of one school. So the same kid who's been funded can now sleep on a full stomach, can now also have, they now have an inquisitiveness to learn more. And the environment in school also becomes more healthy. And there's also an aspiration. Then we extend that as a ripple effect, you see. So that has been one way of raising funding, where we actually eliminate applying for grants and all of that. We actually use what we have, you see, which is frugal innovation, the art of creating more by using the most abundant resource, which is ingenuity, you see. We have gardening programs that we also run at the schools. The same gardening programs that we have are the same programs that feed the school, you see. So it's a way of developing, equipping. It's a way that people used to say that you can give people fish, but you have to teach them how to fish, you see. So my thing is that we don't want to give people a false hope. We want to teach people how to be capable, because the problem with the township, the problem with the rural areas, the problem with third world countries is not money, not funding, it's lack of knowledge, you see. It's a lack of support system, the lack of relevant knowledge. That is why there's a problem when we start businesses or SMEs or startups. Within 5 years, all these companies have been liquidated, or all these companies now, they don't operate anymore. Because why? Because there's not a support system, there's not relevant knowledge, or that is there to assist these people, you see. So what we've been really focused on now is supplying the knowledge, supplying the mentorship, supplying the relevant support system for these young people. Then also, when it comes to my expeditions, the great thing is that I've been having the same funders for the longest time. I eliminate me registering from big expedition companies. I register from the national park because I'm a climber. I'm an alpine climber. I don't use a mask. Oxygen masks. I don't use fixed ropes. I don't use big expedition companies because I believe that is not for me. I'm a purist. You could call me that. I believe in adventure in its truest form, because when you go to all these expeditions, you go to all these mountains, you find people lingering. You find oxygen masks on the mountain. You find people who just abuse the mountain for their glorification and for sponsorship and for media, you see. And for me, the only way to do things is the right way, because all of this will not last. So it's useless to say for me, I'm just going to be doing it for funders and for faking the mountain, you see. So it wouldn't work, because I'm all focused on sustainability. So the right thing is to do the right thing. The best thing is to do the right thing, you see, and the right thing is aligned to sustainability, you see. So yeah. helping people help themselves.
I love that. That's almost a motto for your foundation, is like, do the right thing.
Oh, actually, yes. I must change that. I must write that. Do the right thing.
Because do the right thing is so...
That should be my slogan for the club.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's so... It's
do the right thing, especially for the thugs. Yeah.
But it's so simple and yet so practical and so profound all at the same time.
Multifaceted also. Thanks for that.
No worries. Well, like, if we always just do the right thing, how good will life be? Like, for everybody.
Especially now with the new norm. The new norm has taught us what? It has taught us. I watched a video that you shared that COVID-19 actually is very controversial, but I truly believe in that. It actually came at the right place where it actually is healing our natural. It is healing our universe. You see, so even we are nature ourselves. So what it is doing, it has made us face our deeper fears. You see, it has made us buy local. It has made us be close to ourselves, and it has been a blessing in disguise. And it's actually a century now. It's 2020. It's actually exactly a century. 100 years now have lapsed. You see, so change is inevitable. Change is gonna happen. You see, and the change now is going to be led by the futurists, the people who do not fear doing the right thing.
Because that's fundamentally what's required for the world to evolve, is just doing that.
A moral, ethic revolution.
Yep, that's it. Jeepers, that's profound. Wow. So what's the biggest challenge your foundation's facing at this point in time?
I won't lie, it's not money. The biggest, do you know what is the biggest worry that I have that doesn't make me sleep at night? It's getting all these young people. Even on my inbox is overflowing, where I get messages when I do TV interviews. I got a message from a kid who said, "You just inspired a kid from Benda. You just inspired a kid from Kenya." But the problem is that when you give young people an experience, you give young people hope, then you don't deliver. You actually end up hurting them more than you help them, because young people's hearts are fragile, you see. So I have all these young people. I've even lost 5 of my kids last year. They got shot because of all this gangsterism happening in Khayelitsha. And I feel that I can't breathe. I can't help them because I don't have the resources. And the only resource that we need is a van. We need a bigger van that we can take these kids to camps every Friday and every weekend. We even got support from the Mountain Club of South Africa. We got support from the Western Cape Climbing Society. We got support from the City Rock gym. They even gave us coaches which are able to train our kids free of charge. There's an amazing lady that I would like to applaud called Denali Carpenter. She's helped everyone, taught everyone in my club mountaineering, you see. I've turned the most notorious gangsters into bouldering stars, you see. But we couldn't continue with that because we don't have transport to pick up these kids, you see. And these kids don't want anything. They bring their own food. They just want to be on the mountain. And they come to my house and tell me, when are we going back to the mountain again? And I can't give them an answer because we don't have transport. Now we have like 900 kids. We have 5 townships that we're working in. And I know exactly how these young people feel. And I actually know what could change their lives, you see. And it makes me so sad. It makes me so restless to know what these kids want. And they've shared their stories. They've cried next to me. But still, I can't help them, you see. And it's because of one thing, which is just transport. There are other things I could supply myself. I could pull funding there and there. But if we could get a sponsor who could give us a van, even loan us for a year, they could monitor us while we do camps every Friday, we do everything. would be very grateful. That is the greatest challenge that we face, and we've been facing that challenge for many years now.
Jeepers. How big a van are you after? Like a big 18-seater or something?
No, just a van. We're not very picky. Just a van. Even the smallest van, we could do 2 trips. I believe that is what makes me very disgruntled, is that I would go and leave for a big mountain trip. But I leave kids. It makes me, it's like a bittersweet feeling. Because I leave these kids with the same funding. Let's say I could have bought a van, but the sponsors wouldn't allow me to buy a van with that money because they want me to go on a mountain trip. But I also believe that the same expedition that I'm taking, actually, if I can view it in a bigger mindset, I want to say that I carry the suppressed dreams of every township kid in my backpack, you see. So it is a motivation in itself because it envelops and the rays, it's like a rainbow. The rays, you never know who it reaches and how far it reaches, you see. So I wouldn't stop the mountain trip, but I'm now using all these mountain trips to fundraise for this van. Even if it's a second-hand van, even if it's a 14-seater van, I don't actually know nothing about cars, but we would be very grateful, you see.
Cool. Well, listen, I'll put your contact details in the comments, not the comments, in the description beneath. So if people could contribute, help, support, or have any great ideas, they can go and click in there and get in touch with you.
Yeah,
and see.
Because we even sold our small car, and now we just need like close to 60K to buy the van.
So by 60K, you mean 60,000 rand, which is what's that? $4,000 US.
Yes.
So that's a lot of money in rand, but in American dollars, it's not quite so much money.
Yeah, you see, because I was checking now how much my expeditions have cost me, and it's not, for me, it means nothing for me to tick boxes or bucket list and to have done all this stuff, but for what? Why gain the whole world and lose your soul? So it has to translate, you see, because when I come back to my community, I'm just a child, you see. So a child is, or in Xhosa we always say that which means that a kid is there to be sent to the shops or they have a mission, you see. Every kid has a mission, you see. So what is my mission when I come back to my community? My mission is to develop, you see. So in my opening quote, I said that opening the channel. You have to open your channel. It's not your choice to choose how valuable or how good or how it compares to other expressions. Your duty is to keep the channel open, you see. So I want to keep my channel open and to develop other people. I believe that you can't climb the ladder with hands in your pocket. You climb it like any other ladder, you see. So I know that there has to be work that has to be done, and I'm willing to do the work, but my climbing now is not about me climbing these mountains and being on front covers of glossy magazines. For me, it's not a bigger or deeper enough intent for me to go on mountain trips with me.
I think it depends, because I think it depends as to why you go on the mountain trips. So if you're going on it just for you, the intention is just for me and my experience.
Exactly, yeah.
That's one factor. But if it's I'm going to be a person who shows that you can come from Africa, and it doesn't matter where you come from, where you go to is anything is possible. Because if for instance one of the kids from Khayelitsha, which for those who don't know, who are listening, is just outside Cape Town in South Africa, for those who don't know, each one of those kids is going to have their own Denali or their own Mount Everest, and it might not be Mount Everest. It might be saying no to something that could get them in prison. That's a Mount Everest. But they've got to have somebody to follow who's been there and done it, and I believe you're that person.
Exactly, and I've seen, Rob, to share with you, I can't be doing mediocre because I've seen what is out there. I've seen what the gangsters are offering these young people. So I also can't be mediocre. I have to raise. You see, when your vision is so loud, even if you're quiet, your vision is so loud, it haunts you, you see. And there's a part that sees. There's a ballerina called Margot Fontaine. I used to do ballet when I grew up. Margot Fontaine used to say that if I don't train for one day, no one notices. If I don't train for a week, people notice. If I don't train for 3 weeks, the audience notice. If I don't train for a month, I notice, you see. So it has to do with also with these young people. If we really want to get young people on our side, we also need to be raising our socks, you see. We have to raise the bar. Because, for instance, if kids don't learn the way we teach, perhaps we should teach the way they learn.
Which fascinated me from what you were saying a few minutes ago, which effectively was about the concept of reverse engineering education. To say that,
unlearning.
Almost like a child is interested in gardening, so we'll do gardening with them.
Frugal innovation.
Yeah, but then we'll do gardening, but then almost reverse engineer traditional education into gardening. Because with gardening, you have to read the packet of the seeds to work out when you should plant them and how you should look after them, and you need to be able to measure things. And there's a huge amount of very useful learning that can happen just by the fact of planting a garden if you've got an educator who's willing to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
That's super profound.
Yeah.
When I was in New Zealand the other year, working in New Zealand, I saw a quote on a billboard, and it said, "A kid in sport stays out of court." And I was just thinking about what it is that you're doing. Like, a kid in adventure sport stays out of court. And that's really what you're doing, is you're giving them the opportunity to have a different choice in life, to choose to do the right thing, as opposed to put themselves where they could be dead or homeless or a drug addict or any of those other things.
Especially now, I'm not quite sure if you know what's happening in the townships now. There's just so much happening. It breaks my heart. There's organized crime now. And they're doing extortion. They're doing all types of things. And it's really, we have like close to zero time to actually get in there and do something. And I know people now who have been thoroughly changed into gangsters. I could literally say to them, okay, we have a camp this weekend, and these camps are going to be happening for so and so such a time. And I know that I could do 2 trips. If we get the van, I could do 2 trips. I could get, let's say, 5 kids. Actually, the very kids who are on the front of those gangs, get them, because they know. Because how they get these young people, how they evangelize these young people to be part of these gangs, is the same system that political parties use. It's the same system that organizers use. And it's and now we only have one gap, or else it will take another, because it's a whole systemic thing, you see. It will take another 10, and we will lose these young people forever. And if we lose young people, the funny thing is that an uneducated youth means no future, you see. So that is the one thing, in as much as I can enjoy my own sanity and enjoy my own achievements, but it all goes back to this, that we live in an interconnected world, whether we like it or not. We live in an interconnected world, and peace requires people.
Mm-hmm.
Peace or just living in general requires other people. So I have to get in there. I have to do something. I have to be part of something, you see. So, so that is just my life mission. And I've been trying to package in. After I got shot, I was trying to... It got very... I got very... I'm not quite sure, do you call it a midlife crisis or something, where I saw myself in TV, I listened to my interviews, but I couldn't familiarize myself with the same person who's on that TV. Because when I come back to the community, I'm a different person. So why be two different people? Why can't I be just one person? I've found that it's very hard to attain your truth, to find your own why, to find your own truth, and to speak your truth, you see. So throughout this interview, even now when I'm speaking to you, I'm trying to channel and trying to navigate my truth, and also in a way that is also involving and not far from the vision of the foundation and everything else, you see. So we die not knowing or not having the courage to speak our truth, you see. So my truth is that I believe that within fear is where we find ourselves, and within doubt is where we find the most truest version of ourselves. So fear is needed, and doubt is needed. Do not run away from doubt. Doubt is needed. That is the first step, you see. Fear is needed, but within all of this, you see, you find your truest self, you see. But many people become, before we fall into who we truly are, you see. In order to see the rainbow, you have to walk into the rain. You see.
Jeepers, that's profound. That's profound. Tell me, what do you, with the right resources and luck and everything else in place, what do you, what would you like the future of your foundation to look like? Like how big, how grand, what impact?
Yeah. So basically now, here in Ramakwe and in Lady Frere, I've stayed in 20 places, just trying to experience what people are experiencing. And I've found that there's so much I do not know. And here in Ramakwe, for instance, there's no taps. In the schools, there's no sanitation. There's over 30 schools that don't have a library. There's over the whole of Ramakwe has no library. There's only one library in Batawet, you see. In Lady Frere, there's no sanitation also with the schools. One kid fell into a pit, which is an excuse of a toilet. So basically what I would like to do, I would like to create safe spaces for learning. For instance, now we have an idea that we've just launched in Ramakwe called the Buyelembo Soccer Tournament, where we would like to do, because it's useless trying to introduce something new where kids enjoy playing soccer. So what I've tried to do is that we have a soccer tournament, but it's a soccer tournament and also a talent competition where we'll have a soccer tournament. Then also when it's a break, we'll have a music show where kids do their poetry, they exhibit their talent, and because there's just no space for these kids to breathe and to express their creativity. You see, most of these kids they just work. It's crazy. Like, and they have instilled in themselves that they are just robots which are just working. Whenever they're just sitting still in a chair, if there's someone else coming, they feel a sense of guilt that they have to be working. You see, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but I want to create a space where kids can enjoy themselves and have fun, because within fun means that anything that kids learn, they learn in their true maturity. They learn in its truest sense because it's fun, and fun means natural and natural. You see, so basically, the biggest goal that I wanted to do with Everest is to build a primary school.
Awesome.
Primary school in Lady Frere and a primary school in Namakwe. Not a university, not a high school, just a primary school. And also we say Khayelitsha, which means you bend it while it's still young. And the best memories I have of school are primary, not high school.
Correct.
That is where kids, my grandmother used to say that you cannot teach a kid a textbook before standard 1, which is grade, what grade is that? I'm not quite sure. Standard 1. But when it's grade 1, grade 2, kids are not allowed or should not be allowed to read or be taught in a textbook. They should just be allowed to express themselves, to learn, and not to be judged, to learn because they're at their very peak of their exploratory and critical thinking, you see. Then you can teach them textbook stuff at standard 1, you see. So, yeah.
And it's interesting, my experience is that a lot of people outside of the African continent don't really realize what the reality of life is here. As you said, there's schools with pit toilets that kids fall in and die. There is no libraries, there is no books.
And kids will walk for 4 hours to go to school. Like I watched my niece today walking. He's gonna walk for an hour to go to school. He's gonna walk back again an hour. But it's very pleasant because it's a natural environment. It also has to do with fitness. But what do they do when it's raining? When it's thundering, they arrive at school wet. You see, there's no hospitals. Hospitals are only there for old people to go fetch their medicine. If a kid gets bitten by a snake, if a kid because they walk through a whole jungle to get to school, you see. And nobody cares. And it's the problem with crime, the problem with drugs, the problem with the outside other world or underworld is it's not just drugs or crime. It's the exposure. A kid could just could have a disagreement or an argument with their parents, go outside, meet a friend, smoking a cigarette. They smoke together, then it's just an escapism, you see. So the problem is an exposure. So the minute that we can get kids settled into themselves, they can have fun. If we can have sex and we can give kids love, you see, we can have the list of resources, but if we can create safe and loving spaces, kids can now help us more than we could have helped them, you see, because they in themselves also have messages or gifts that they have to give to the world, and those gifts cannot be given or those gifts cannot come out if we don't give them a space where they can best express themselves, you see.
I think what people from overseas fail to appreciate, and it's not their fault, is that is that I was part of a group in Uganda a few years ago who we were busy helping some schools, and from America people were sending computers, and what a beautiful thing to do if there was electricity in the school, and if there was a way of connecting the computer to something outside of the school, and I just think that if people are going to assist. Especially rural African or township African.
The best thing is to volunteer.
Well, it's to volunteer, but also it's a very practical thing. It's not computers. It's actually pens, paper, and books and sanitation stuff. It's almost the stuff that we take for granted. Sorry, go on, carry on.
I was saying I was struggling to get a pen today. I didn't realize that in Eastern Cape, but it teaches you also to value things. You see? So I always say that in Xhosa we also say that you don't help a person altogether because they will despise you. You see. But what you do, you give them an opportunity to help themselves, you see. So the practical help aspect, I actually totally, I support that, you see. If you give young people pens, you give them books, you give them just a book to read. For instance, my brother now is in Eastern Cape. What he needs is, there's no libraries. So usually most of the time he just goes online and researches and gets ebooks on PDF. But if we could get donation of books, I could set up a library. I have plenty of land here. I could set up a mini library. Kids come in, come out. And the great thing is that now, in as much as we don't have resources, but we still have intent. We have a beautiful abundance of intent, of kids willing to be part of something, but they lack a leader.
Well, not anymore. It sounds, Monde, like you're the leader.
Very hard. it's extremely hard, Rob. I won't lie. You can't run away from leadership like you. But I've learned to embrace it, because when you're a leader, you have to learn to embrace things you don't actually know nothing about.
But you know, some of the best leaders of the past 2,000 years haven't been the people who've wanted to lead. They've been the people who have just been adopted as the leader, and they have to get on with it. And it sounds like through your work, that's how these kids are viewing you. Yeah,
it's a fulfilling experience, I would say. But the worst dream is not to deliver. So that is why I do these interviews, to get other people involved. And I believe that there's a lot of people who want to be part of something, but they're not hearing like these relevant voices that could lure them and be part of this, you see. Because what I want to do now, the quickest way to develop these kids, what I've found now is I've registered 5 of these kids to international conferences and summits. So they get first an experience to be, they're not like fishes swimming in a pond not knowing there's a greater sea out there. So if they travel, all that traveling does a hell of teaching that we could have done ourselves, you see. So when they go out and go, let's say, to Brazil or Colombia to a conference, when they come back, they have their own internal zeal, you see. Then you can expose them to all this stuff, you see. So I've registered them as part of the A-World at School ambassadorship, which I was part of, which is kids who are, it's like civil society, but kids who are advocating for free and quality education for kids internationally. So it's ambassadors from all around the world. So if I can get these kids from rural South Africa to be part of these summits, and to see other young people who also come from the same environment, who come from Palestine, who come from India, who come from even Switzerland, who come from all these different backgrounds, and they find similarities, because in as much as I could think that I have the torch, it could be this is a youth thing. It's not even about a solution thing, it's about a youth thing, you see. It could be that youth understand one another, you see. So if I could give them an opportunity to be part of an international youth, perhaps they could light within themselves, you see.
Wow. That's incredible. So tell me, Monde, if there's people listening to this podcast in the UK or USA, Canada, Australia, or maybe even in South Africa who want to help you, support you, and enable you further, what practical things can they do to help these young people to have more successful, more positive lives going forwards?
For instance, now, you would know, Rob, we've been having a problem with trying to set up a crowdfunding campaign. We need the same help that we're trying to give to these people, to the young people, which is skills, which is the knowledge, because we might know what we want to do, but we might not necessarily have the knowledge to the knowledge, the muscle, and the resources. You see, so firstly is knowledge. The second thing is muscle. The third thing is resources. You see. So when I talk about knowledge, I talk about setting up campaigns. We want someone who could create like a promo video about our foundation, media, someone who could spread our message. We were thinking of an idea also to set up the foundation in different other countries where we can have people who are representing the foundation in different other countries who could not even fundraise, who could share light. When they come into South Africa, they could volunteer, who could adopt a child. We have a program called Adopt a Child, where you adopt a child, you give them, you can pay for their education, you could pay for their pens or their books. For instance, it's going to be January, all schools are going to be open again. So, yeah. And second thing is, I said knowledge. The second thing is giving muscle, which is volunteers. Whenever there's people coming to South Africa, and also even South Africans could also help us giving these young people better opportunities. For example, there might be someone listening who also runs their own organization. Perhaps they run a permaculture program. Perhaps they run a program which teaches young people to have their own driver's license or whatever. Adopt a child. Take 5 of our kids. Take them to be part of their program. That will be also a step in the right direction. The third thing is the resources. We need books, we need computers, because we have an electronic and coding school. Now we want to set up an online library. The biggest one is to get transport. So if people can go on the link that you're going to share, can go on our website, can go on Monde Sitole Foundation, which is MONDESITOLE Foundation on Facebook. Send me an inbox. Perhaps any bit, even if it's $1, $10, whatever, any bit makes a change in the greater realization of our goal, which is the education of the African child, you see. So thank you again for listening, and thank you for taking time in your strenuous schedule to listen to our interview, and thank you to you, Rob, for giving us an opportunity, because in a way you've already helped us. Yes, this collaborations and initiatives of this nature that have already paved the way, and these things are timeless. You see, this interview will be listened to generations to come, and it will help a generation that is not yet born. You see, so we are utterly thankful for that.
It's an absolute pleasure. I was just sat here thinking as I'm listening to you, what more can we Get Outdoors do? So here's a little promise over the next month. With We Get Outdoors, we will help you establish your crowdfunding campaign, and then I will pay to have that put in front of our 45,000 listeners, and ensure that the largest audience possible gets to see it and engage with it and understand more about you and help you in the work you're doing with those young people.
Wow. No, I'm incredibly thankful, Rob.
That's a pleasure.
And yeah, you're giving me a newfound faith also.
Well, look, I firmly believe that everybody's a good human being. They just need to be given the opportunity to show it.
Yeah.
Also, and I'm saying this online while we're live, well, not live, while we're recording this as well, but just so I'm held accountable to it. A contact of mine works for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and I'm also going to pass your contact details on to her and see if there's any capacity there to support you in the work you're doing.
No, thank you very much. And yeah, And are also not just getting help from our side, we're also willing to be helpful and get our hands dirty. For instance, if you would want to have like a video of Eastern Cape or video of these kids or whatever you would want from our side, we're also very capable to assist, you see, because it has to be reciprocal. It has to be balanced, and I believe also we could be of some help to the We Get Outdoors podcast and get other kids sending, let's say messages just saying we support We Get Outdoors podcast, and I could even take the flag up our next expedition and possibly to Mount Everest also.
That would be incredible. That would be incredible. Well, let's keep this conversation flowing and going forwards, Monde, and see what we can all do together, because I think many minds achieve greatness, and the more minds you have involved, the more great, the higher the level of greatness you'll be able to achieve with the foundation, and the more lives you'll be able to touch.
Okay, thank you very much.
My pleasure. So, Monde, thank you for your time this morning. This will go live in a few weeks' time. And folks, if you're listening to this, please go and check out the links below. Please go and check out Monde. Please go and check out his foundation. And please find any way you possibly can of supporting him from helping young people uplift themselves from places of poverty to places of pride and places of productivity where they live happy, successful lives. That truly will be changing the world. Thank you for your time today.